So Clive, welcome once again to Housing Technology. Have you enjoyed it?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, the key thing is the quality of the questions, which means A, they're listening, and B, allows me to reinforce some of the points. So yeah, the questions were fantastic.
Because of course, since we last met, you've actually got involved in a new business interest.
My job finished after the London Olympics, and I had a fantastic 7-8 years with the British Olympic team. And what I basically saw in that time was, because that gave me access to all the sports, not only in the UK, but almost around the world. I was allowed to go in and see what was going on. And it just became very clear that what we did with the England rugby team was quite unique in terms of coaching. So I presented some ideas of how we could digitise the kind of coaching process I used in rugby, which I think would help other sports. So I presented it to these amazing couple of guys called Manoj Badali and Charles Millendal from Blenheim Chalcott. And the rest is history. They invested in it. They said it's a no-brainer in sport, but this will work in business. This is a real learning tool. It's a real tool that will allow teams of people to collaborate. And sort of 5 years later, now nearly 6 years later, we employ 60 people in Hammersmith, and it's going great guns.
There was a lot of people that are interested in what you were talking with, which was basically tackling change. How would the learning app help them?
The thing I stressed down there was this concept called a sponge or a rock, and speaking to some of your colleagues and delegates afterwards, that they was all chuckling, they all got that. But sponges are all about people having a thirst for knowledge and a thirst for ideas and almost a passion for your subject, and rocks are the opposite, where you probably feel you don't need to learn anything more, and I think that's a big error. So I want every person in my team to be a sponge. I mean every person, from the person sitting on the reception to the chief executive, everyone's got to be a sponge. And what the software does is allow everyone to kind of share information and knowledge and really collaborate with each other. So very quickly, if you use a bit of software, you can see who are the sponges, who are the rocks, who's really collaborating, who's putting in new ideas, new thoughts. And I probably wouldn't be putting new ideas on because that's not my strength. But when I saw an idea, I would come in and go, George, that's brilliant. We can do this, this and this, and really support the ideas coming through. So the software just allows teams of people to really collaborate together. You know, a lot of business talks about collaboration. Everyone thinks they're good at it, but in my experience, you know, people talk a good game but don't really deliver, and the software kind of measures all this and also captures all the information and knowledge, so it's priceless.
Our sector is experiencing immense change. What do you see are the key factors in driving transformational change?
You always start with people. I mean, I don't think you can ever spend enough time, effort and money getting the right people. But then the key thing then is not thinking, well, just because I've got good people, I can sit back and they're all going to go whoopee-doo and away you go. It's the start and not the finish. So once you've got the right people in your team, it's then absolutely making sure they are all really working together, getting new thoughts and new ideas, not being scared of change. You know, I like change, but not to a fault. I mean, sometimes you don't need to change anything. I think the key thing on performance is bringing in potentially new thoughts and ideas when you are going well. That's what drives performance. So it's a people business, nothing's changed there, but I think you can use, you know, tools now, especially software tools, to really enhance that ability for the people to work together really effectively.
How can our business leaders help drive business transformational change?
You've got to make sure that everybody is trying to drive the business forward, and it can come from the bottom up, but that is really, you know, quite rare. So change has got to be driven by the people at the top, and that's where normally you have, you know, board of directors to actually make sure the people who are in the paid positions are really moving the business forward and not being scared of change, but not doing it for the sake of that you're doing it because you absolutely think this will make a difference. And the moment you stop doing that, the chances are you are going to come second, because there'll be another business, another company doing the things I'm talking about.
How do you think you can nurture your team to move forward?
It's probably the most important slide I put up there, really, George, is the 5% and 95%. When I'm working with anybody, you've still got to do your job, you've still got to deliver results, you've still got to put the figures in. I'll say from a rugby point of view, if I lose 3 or 4 games in a row, I'm fired, I'm gone. So you can bring all this change stuff in, but unless you're doing your nuts and bolts of your job, I defy anybody not to find 5% of their time, you know, a couple of hours a week, 3 hours a week, to really shut the door, turn everything on, sit back and say, right, what are we doing? How can we really move this to a new level? Some of my best moments come when I'm on a plane, where I can really think about the business, because I'm not in the business, I'm working on the business. You know, when I'm playing around a golf, I'm thinking about on the business, I'm not in the business. And it's just that 5%. And I think if people understand the 5%, it's amazing where week after week after week it will add up.
I remember your business mantra, thinking correctly under pressure. Is this still one of your guiding principles?
I would change if I found something better. It's called T-cup, which is T-cup, thinking correctly under pressure. And just the key word is correctly. When this pressure thing turns up, can you think correctly? And this is where the 95% really kicks in, that if you spend that 5% of your time thinking about how we'd handle these pressure situations, how we really start to, be a little bit more open and transparent in our thinking, it actually works. So T-cup's a great word. I've never come across anything that I can find better than it in terms of people really starting to just think about the possibilities of where the business can go to. But most of them are normally around how you handle pressure situations is what T-cup's all about.
Our sector is experiencing dramatic change, and we simply haven't got enough homes for people to live in. How can we get together to create business transformation?
I've never spoken to any business leader like yourself who's not said, well, our business more than anybody else is suffering from change and pressure. Every business is going through what you're doing in different ways. But the power in that room, the experience is amazing. How do you get it together? And this is a real challenge, especially the bigger the numbers. Using technology to really kind of scope out how we're going to do this is a secret to it. But you're using everyone's experience then. I can't give the answer because it's not the world I live in. But there'll be people out there, if you really study that these are what we need to do. And once you've got those key points, then bang, how are we going to do it? What you do need is your sponges, everybody contributing, and not anybody saying, I'm not doing this is beyond me.
So if you get all of those people in the room, do you believe we can solve any problem?
If our life depended on this, what would we do? And that's where you got it, and that's what I think successful people do. This is what we do, and that's to discover, and then we're going to really look at it. We're going to study it, and you may want to bring in other people, other experts. How do we do this? And this is the how. This is the distill. How we do this, and what are the things we need to actually do to make this happen? Which are the key, what I call key points. And then you got to do it. And then once it's due, we do it.
You mentioned data. How important is technology in the whole process?
Data should be total facts about what we're doing and how we're going to actually fix it and what this can actually do to your business. So that's why I think data is so good, because you can't hide from data. The big thing about data is, are you learning the right information from the data? The higher up, the more experienced you are, they're the people who should be looking at the data and interpreting the data. You want the data where you're really experienced people, your top people, got to actually make the right decisions about this is actually what it's showing us. Because one set of data could mean one thing to you, George, and totally different for me. There's never normally one answer. It's how you interpret it and how we're going to actually distill it, and then what we're going to do to make it actually happen. As a head coach of a rugby team, I'm going to make the final decision about what this data is showing to me. I'm not going to rely on anybody else, because that is fundamental to changing. And if it's fundamental, I want to be all over this and make sure we're making the right calls on it.
Well, I suppose what we're doing is changing, hopefully, a lot of people who are rocks into sponges.
I'm hoping they're all sponges, but as I say, I've never known anyone purposely be a rock. It's a good term, because it's quite a tough term. I'd hate to be called a rock. I'd go home and go, my God, what's happened to me? But if I have been a rock, I'd want someone to tell me, come on, you've stopped what you were usually good at. You've now become this rock, and I'd have to look in the mirror really closely and say, crikey, either got to change or get out. And so it's a good term, but they've used in the right way.
Clive, thank you very much
for
coming to Housing Technology.
Thank you.
And we really thoroughly enjoyed your talk. Thank you.
Thanks, George. As always, thank you.